Welcome Ape Army, and today we have a long overdue overview of how to flash the RS5 using JH Motorsports' new flashing server. Before we get into the granular details, we need to take a look at how the average enthusiast can assess and monitor the health of their RS5. The most powerful tool available and one every RS5 owner should have is the Ross-Tech VCDS. There are programs like Harista or OBD11, but they are, quite frankly, toys in comparison. I have provided a link to Ross-Tech in the video's description. Let's take a quick look at scanning your vehicle for possible errors prior to installing the JH Motorsports awesome Stage 2 tune for the Audi RS5.
Alright, so the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is plug in your Ross-Tech Hex V2 USB cable. It's a USB to OBD2, and this will allow you to use the Ross-Tech VCDS and scan your car for any errors before you decide to flash your car. Vitally important because you want a healthy car before you go and flash it. So we're going to do that right now. In terms of what will run a Ross-Tech VCDS, honestly, I just use this really cheap HP Stream laptop. It's probably made for kids, but I think you can probably pick these up for $100. I did make the mistake of getting the 32-bit or the 32 megabyte hard drive. It is a flash hard drive and it is non-upgradable on this computer, so they say. I haven't tried it. I'm a Mac guy and really don't want to mess with it. If I had my choice, I would get something maybe in the 128 gigabyte range. That way you can actually run not only the VCDS on this laptop, but you can do your flash installer all with one computer, and that would seem to make sense. But like I said, I'm a Mac guy and I hate spending money on laptops that run Windows. Anyway, so you launch the VCDS, ignition on, and you can basically go through each of these modules and scan them for errors, but the really quick way is just to go to auto scan and hit start, and you just kind of let it do its thing. It'll go through all of the individual modules one by one, look for errors, and then list them as they come up. You can see I've got a couple red errors there, but those are things that I've actually had for quite some time. The EPC stabilization error that you just heard is normal, happens every time you scan. It's just because it's scanning the module. So we let it do its thing, and it actually takes quite a bit of time, at least on this computer. All right, there you go. It is done. I actually have a CAN gateway malfunction, and that's actually from last night. Last night I was installing new oxygen sensors just for the hell of it, and I failed to plug in my driver's side throttle body fully and got a bunch of errors. So basically, this I know about. The CAN gateway, that's new. The seat memory and the information electronic status malfunction, those are all things that I'm aware of, and I know exactly what caused them, and some of them were intentional. You don't need to worry about that. But if you start getting errors with your engine, whether it be cam sensors or injectors or misfires or something like that, you should really take a look at the health of your car first before you deciding to flash. Just vitally important that you take maintenance into account and make sure the car is healthy, especially after you flash, because you are adding horsepower and ability basically to the engine and the transmission, and you really want to make sure that your car is in tip-top shape at all times. With that said, the tune is very reliable. I've been running it for quite some time, and I've never really had any issues at all. I've had one failed injector, which is fairly normal on these cars, and I replaced them, and I've been good ever since. So we're actually just gonna close this out. I'm gonna go into the individual modules and kind of show you this really quick. So you go in the CAN gateway, you can list your fault codes. Down here, you can clear it. It'll ask you if you really want to erase it, and of course you do. There you go. And you can basically cycle your ignition and check to make sure that it worked. And it's just a really cool device. And not only that, you can go into advanced measuring values. I'm going to start up the car here. And hopefully you can hear me over the engine. But you can log in real time all kinds of things, and I use this all the time. And unfortunately, we'll just choose this, just because I was doing some research on battery stuff earlier. But I have pre-saved basically logs, and you can pick from all kinds of things: engine RPM, EGTs, lambda, you know, just all kinds of crazy things. And it's just a really powerful tool. So we're just gonna close this out. So once you're done with that, I'll turn off the car here. One thing I always do when I'm going to flash somebody's car, I basically turn off all the accessories. I make sure that the seat heaters are off, the fans, everything is off. The stereo is turned down or powered off, and even the daytime running lights. You know, you've got your lights, your auto lights over here. Make sure those are off, just to be on the safe side. I know everybody's going to be using a battery charger, but it is essential that you do that. And we're going to bring out my behemoth. And this thing is like from circa 1991, and it weighs about 20 pounds, and it's just ridiculous. And it's very old school, but it works. I bought it for next to nothing. And so here you see basically the JHM Power Connect software that I've already downloaded. If you're going to flash, you get instructions, including the download link for the software. And yeah, I'm going to be blocking that out. Yeah, and then basically you'll go through the entire procedure to flash, follow the instructions to a T. If it says to shut the car off for 45 seconds, shut the car off for 45 seconds. Just make sure you pay really close attention. And let's walk through a flashing.
Time to flash. But wait, there are more requirements. We already touched upon the need for a healthy car. Since we're now asking for more of the engine and the transmission, keep your maintenance up to date, or go to a performance maintenance regiment where consumables like oil, spark plugs, and other fluids are changed more often than Audi's recommendation. When you're ready to flash, you'll need a battery charger plugged into the car, preferably one which is 20 amp hours or greater for conventional batteries. I like to let my battery charger do its thing an hour prior to flashing, making sure the battery is close to or fully charged. If you have a lightweight lithium-ion anti-gravity battery like I do, I generally plug the lithium-ion specific charger in and let it run until the charger goes into trickle or maintenance mode. Voltage must stay above 11.5 volts to flash successfully, and flashing puts a large strain on the battery as you flash in accessory mode. Ignition on, but the engine is not running. If you fail to do this and the battery voltage drops, you could potentially damage the RS5's sensitive electronics or even brick the car's ECU. A reasonably fast, stable internet connection is a must. If at all possible, connect to your Wi-Fi router or modem by an Ethernet cable. Otherwise, a fast Wi-Fi connection will work just fine. I've flashed down to 30 megabits per second without issue on the new server. When you receive your server login credentials, you'll also receive a detailed set of instructions explaining where to download the software and the flashing procedure in detail. Read them over prior to flashing so you have a clear idea of what the process involves. Follow those instructions explicitly and do not deviate from them. To start, launch the JHM flashing program with the Power Connect cable plugged into the USB port of the laptop but not into the vehicle's OBD port. Once launched, the program will connect to the web and may download updates as needed, and it may take up to 5 minutes depending on your internet speed to complete. With the updates installed, click on the JHM icon on your computer's desktop to relaunch the program. With the program open, enter the login and password you were provided. Once logged in and on the home screen, plug the other end of the cable into the OBD port below the steering wheel, close to the dead pedal on the left side of the driver's footwell. With your foot off the brake, turn the car on. The accessory power should be on and the engine should not be running. I monitor battery voltage with my radar detector. Even though I turn everything else off to flash, including the daytime running lights, I leave the detector plugged in. If everything looks good, you're ready to flash. On the home screen, there are two fields we're concerned with. First is the select controller type. You'll want to flash the ECU first, so click on the radio button just to the left of Engine ECU. The second field we're concerned with is the Click to ID controller box. This scans your ECU and ensures there's matching software no matter where you are in the world. Click the box and the server will begin scanning, indicated by a status bar. If you have a fast connection, this process happens quite quickly. Once complete, the box code should automatically appear. If you receive an error controller not found, do not panic. It means there is not a matching box code on the server and one will need to be loaded. Generally, that's a 24-hour process at worst. Once the engineers load up a matching controller, you'll be notified that the flashing is now possible. If your box code does appear, click the Next button. The next window is your calibration selection. What you see in my selection may not appear in yours, so do not take these screenshots literally. Click on the first box at the top to reveal the pull-down menu and select the appropriate tune. The second box is also mandatory and deals with available gas octane levels. If you are overseas, the selection will be different, with 93 octane in the US being equivalent to 98 RON in other countries. Click on the window and choose the appropriate octane level. If you do not have 93 octane readily available, choose 91 octane or move to Texas. Click the Next button at the bottom of the window. Fill out all the fields with your name, address, and phone number. Once done, click Next. The next window verifies all of your entries. Glance over them once to make sure everything is correct. If so, click Flash It. Since I don't want to flash my car again, I'll run through the next phase verbally. A status bar will appear and it may take several minutes to download and flash the car's ECU. The status bar will reach 100% and return to the main menu. At this point, turn off the car for 65 seconds, no less. After 65 seconds, with your foot off the brake, hit the car's ignition to turn on accessory mode. Do not start the car. Stay in accessory mode for 45 seconds. After 45 seconds, unplug the Power Connect cable from the OBD port and start the car. Let it run for 2 minutes. Turn off the engine. Turn on the accessory power mode. Plug in the Ross-Tech VCDS cable into the OBD port and do a quick scan of the ECU and TCU to make sure there are no hard codes. This is an extra precaution, but worthwhile. Once done, plug the Power Commander back into the OBD port and relaunch the JHM flashing server if necessary. Once logged in and on the main screen, click the transmission button below controller type at the top of the window. With transmission selected, click to ID the transmission's controller. A status bar will appear. If successful, the next button will be highlighted and the controller number will automatically propagate just above it. If it says controller not found, contact JHM and the engineers will update the server with a matching code for your vehicle. If you do get that notice, it's okay to leave the ECU tuned to stage 2 if this happens. It will not hurt your vehicle. Wait approximately 24 hours for the update and a notice it's been updated from JH Motorsports. If there is a matching calibration already on the server, click Next to choose a TCU calibration. Like the ECU, start at the top by selecting a tune via the pull-down menu. The second pull-down menu may only have one option. If you have multiple options, my recommendation is the third from the top, Performance 1 8500 V KS 5.6 6000 LC. This will be the most rapid of the tunes. LC stands for launch control and the car will launch at 6000 RPM. If you do have the version just above it with DIM at the end, that means the car, when in manual mode, will downshift automatically to the lowest gear like it does in full auto mode. With the calibration selected, click the next button. Double check the calibration choice, and if everything is as you intended, click Flash It. A status bar will appear just like when flashing the ECU. Once complete, follow the same instructions for cycling the ignition as you did after flashing the ECU. Once completed, take the car out for a drive and know it will adapt and get faster over time and the more you drive it. Also, one little known fact, begin driving the car within a few seconds of cold startup. Do not let the fast idle stop before moving. This will help dial in short and long-term fuel trims. If you wait for the car to warm up, it fails to accomplish this task. Audi even mentions driving the car as soon as possible, right in the RS5's manual. Take it slow and acclimate yourself to the newfound responsiveness and performance. If Audi had delivered the RS5 like this from the factory, it'd be an absolute legend. Enjoy your new tune in good health and keep the wheel side down. Ape Factory over and out.